It's just that spirit of being like, we can figure this out. We'll figure out how to pivot. We'll figure out what the market needs. And we'll figure out how to learn this new skill. We'll figure out what the heck to do with AI. We'll figure it out.
Welcome back to Duo On Air. I'm Abby.
And I'm Courtney.
And we're the ex-agency turned entrepreneurial team that puts the Duo in Duo Collective. Our boutique organic marketing agency specializes in SEO, social media strategy, and branding.
We're an everyday pair of business besties / marketing experts obsessed with helping our community learn more about what it takes to run a business.
Which is why on Duo On Air, we're not holding anything back. We're giving you all the info we know about how to grow your business organically so you can be the confident CEO you were made to be.
And how to navigate life as a small business owner.
Whether it's on your own or with your best friend by your side, so grab your coffee
or your mimosa, we don't judge,
and settle in for a quick value-packed episode of Marketing Tips.
Welcome back to the Duo On Air podcast. This is episode number 170. We hear this all the time from our clients. My website just doesn't feel like me anymore. Maybe you've outgrown it. Maybe you cringe a little every time you have to drop the link, or maybe you're just not in a place to hire the best designer on the block, and that's okay. We have been there too. So today we are talking about what to do when your website doesn't reflect the business you've built or the one that you're becoming. Whether you've DIY'd your website or you're due for a glow up or you're just not sure where to start, this episode is for you. And we're not having this conversation alone. I'm so excited. We are joined by none other than the co-founder Jen from Tonic Site Shop, the queen of scroll-stopping design and punchy personality-packed templates that actually convert. She's here to spill her best advice on everything from DIY mistakes to knowing when it's time for a change and how to make your website work harder and prettier for you. This is one part pep talk, one part strategy session, and all the motivation that you need to finally feel proud of your website again. And if this is you and you've had Tonic on your must-buy list like us, we have a special discount code for you to save 15% on any template when you use Duo Collective 15. We're going to share more details in the show notes, but for now, we cannot wait to get to this conversation with Jen. So let's jump in. Hello, Jen. We are so excited to have you on the Duo On Air podcast. Thank you so much for joining us.
So excited to be here. Longtime fan. So excited about everything. Big fan of everything you guys do. So thanks for having me.
Oh, well, ditto.
Yeah, oh my gosh. When we met you at Spark, what, 2 years ago?
It was the very first Spark, I think.
Yeah, it was like celebrity. I was struck. I was like, oh, there she is.
And you actually thought that about me, whereas normally when that happens, people think that I'm Celine Dion. And then they're just immediately disappointed. So it's really great to hear whenever it happens. And it's actually because you thought it was me. So thank you.
Yes,
thank you for
I love it. Do you follow, I'm going to go off on a little tangent for a second. Right. Do you follow the girl that lip sings the Celine Dion and her husband pops balloons above her and she drops, sing,
okay.
Sing. I feel like you could all be.
I don't know this lady. I need to follow her.
I'll include it in the show notes so
Change
everyone can see
life.
how amazing she is.
Yes.
Yeah, that's going to go in the show notes. The most important resource we shared today is the Celine Dion cosplayer. Yeah, that could have been me in another life. I mean, people have come up to me in malls crying, thinking that I am Celine Dion. I had an entire horde of Asian teenagers rush me and demand autographs, and I didn't know what to do. So I just signed autographs as Celine.
You did it. You did.
Sure did. There was a language barrier, and I was like, no. And then I thought that they were going to be like, Celine Dion's a real jerk in real life. I'm like, this is now Celine's reputation on the line. So I was just like, whatever, sure.
That is hilarious.
Oh, I love that.
At least they didn't ask you to sing a chord or anything. Yeah. Could you imagine if you're
my voice? It's gone.
Yeah. Right. It's gone.
Real Ariel, Little Mermaid moment. No, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So let's not sing. I do love to sing, but it would just be immediately disappointing. So let's not do that. But so nice to meet you as well. And
we're excited. Well, we're going to get into all the things we have known about you and your business, I would say since day one of our business, because one of the very first things we did was sign up for Show It. And then the next thing was, how are we going to build our website?
Mm-hmm.
And then
I think we did one of the we just like did a 1-page website design, which is like kind of embarrassing to say, but that's how we had to start, right? And then when we got to a point where we knew we had to build our website, we started talking about the Tonic templates. And Abby's like, I think we should purchase one. And I was like, say no more. And I was just like immediately online shopping, like, okay, look at this. Like it was so much fun. I was so excited.
Yeah.
I remember seeing your site after you launched it. I remember because I was like, oh, these people did it justice. I think maybe it was Paper Plane. And I was like,
Yep.
oh, you did it justice and you tricked it out. And I was so proud. But also, like, there is no shame in starting with a 1-page website. I'm just proud of you for having a website when you start out. Because usually if people are like, I can't afford to hire a designer, I don't have time to do this right now. So like, I'll do a website at some point, or I'll put up a coming soon page. And then 3 years later, they're like, oh no, like turns out there never was a time. So good
right.
for you for at least prioritizing it and getting it done, and having something up. Way to go.
For
That's great.
real. Well, okay, let's start by you sharing just a little bit about Tonic and how it all got started. You're just one of the founders, so we always love to hear these stories, and we also love to hear like just all the things on business partnership, because that's obviously what we nerd out about in our business. So tell us a little bit about how you got started.
Okay, so I always say that this is like the best could have been terrible founding story. Because Jeff and I, my business partner and I, met in a Facebook group for Show It designers. I think there were like 20 of us in a Facebook group. And I met Jeff because I posted a website, a custom site that I was working on, and said like, hey, if anyone has any thoughts, let me know. Not thinking that anyone would have any thoughts. It turns out Jeff had so many thoughts. And so Jeff stayed up until midnight and he went through every single page of the site and found every single bug, every single misalignment, every single possible thing that was wrong with the website, and sent me a list. And I think some people would have been horrified by this, but I was like, who is this amazing human who took time out of his life to like try to help my website be better? So we kind of knew each other a little bit, and then we got invited on a Show It designer retreat. And so we had known each other for a total of, I'm going to say 18 hours, when we were like, you know what? We should do something together. Like we should figure out something to do together. Like we were sitting in the back of the class, like making jokes. He poured me a giant glass of wine and I'm like, this is the foundation of a business relationship. So when you're thinking about business partnerships, this is inadvisable, right? Like you don't meet a stranger and then jump into business together. But I'm also a big person who believes in professional chemistry, right? I'm like, okay, something about this is working. We should do something together. I believe that that's a real thing. And so we just had that professional chemistry and we're like, okay, at this point, I know it's hard to believe, but at this point, there was maybe 2 other template shops, period, in the creative space. There were not people making Squarespace templates, Show It templates. There were maybe some WordPress templates that were like $75 and were terrible. So your choices at that point were like, okay, you hand a designer $20,000 and your firstborn child and like, your blood type and like anything about you that you could, and beg them to make you a website, or you just wait until you can afford to do that. And that was it. Like you had to just wait. So there was no option between like $75 WordPress template and then $20,000, $30,000 custom website. And Jeff and I were like, this feels like it shouldn't be the case, because we knew all of these amazing creatives and entrepreneurs and photographers and service providers who were so cool, but then their website was terrible. And I was getting hundreds of inquiries a week asking for custom websites, and I just had to say no. And one thing you should know about me is that I hate to say no. And so it was just eating me up inside to be like, there's so many people who are so good at what they do and their website does not reflect that. So Jeff and I were like, hey, what if we released some Show It website templates? We'll design a collection of website templates. We're going to call it Tonic. I was like texting him in a restaurant bathroom, different like name ideas that I had. And I think there was like a tonic on the menu. And I'm like, oh, a tonic is like a cure too. Like that's cool. And we were like, okay, yeah, that's great. Gave it very little thought. And we're like, okay, Tonic, like great, done. Okay, we'll release a collection of website templates. We are also delusional and young at this point. I was pregnant, but I didn't have a baby yet. And so I just made really foolish choices. And we were like, let's design 12. Let's just go out with a bang. Let's design 12 website templates. And so we were so foolish and so full of hope. And we got together and we designed 12 different website templates. They were all based
Wow.
around cocktails. My mom thought that we were opening a bar because our website had nothing, did not have the word template anywhere on it. It just had like cool photos and just vibes, just like straight vibes. But completely, like unexpectedly, it was a massive success. We had built like an email list that was just a spreadsheet of people's emails who said that they wanted more information. And I'm so proud of us. Like, just great job. Like, little baby
Scrappy. I
Jeff.
mean, yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. People knew that it was coming. Like, we knew it was like a cool thing to like get excited about. And so we got some cool brand photos. We released this collection. And within the first week, I think we made like $20,000. And we were like, oh, like, wait a second, like that really worked. And so we looked at the market and you would have thought like, oh, we should do that again. Like, let's just do more website templates. But no, we did not learn from that experience whatsoever. And so we just completely disappeared for like, I'm going to say like 6 to 12 months. And then we're like, we should maybe do that again. Like, people seem to really like those. Let's try it. Like, let's make some more templates. Same thing happens. Like, people buy the templates. And what we found is that they gravitated towards the highest price templates. We had like $450 templates. We had $1,200 templates. The best sellers every single time, the $1,200 templates. People did not want the most affordable ones. They were like, which one's the best? Most expensive? Great. I'll take that one. I'll take 4, in fact. And so those templates dramatically outsold the rest of the templates. Again, did we learn a lesson? No, we did not. We're like, okay, we're still going to keep releasing all of these like lower price templates because we don't want to like be unaffordable, right? Like, we don't want to be inaccessible. We want to make sure there's something for everyone. And it took, I'm not going to lie, years for us to be like, wait, I think the market is trying to tell us something. And so as our business started to grow, we finally began going, wait a second, our business, our custom website businesses are taking 90% of our time and generating like 2% of our profit. We have this business that's generating residual income, which is like the lifeblood of the creative. Other people would kill to have residual income. Maybe this is where we should spend our time. And so with that, all of a sudden, we finally just decided to phase out our custom work, go all in on Tonic, and we stopped releasing the lower price templates, leaned into the more expensive, and said, okay, how are we going to pack these with as much value as we possibly can? And that was kind of the early stage of Tonic, is like, let's release fewer, better things, more expensive, less like lower price, lean into what makes things premium, but then really back it up with a super premium experience. And so that's kind of our crazy origin story. And I always think like, man, Jeff could have been an axe murderer. Like, I had no idea. Like, I could have ended up in the trunk of his car. Like, but thankfully, it's been great. It's not been without its difficulties. Like, every business partnership is like a marriage without a lot of the benefits. And so that's like one of those things you just constantly have to work through things. But I'm so grateful because neither of us would be here running Tonic without each other. So that's how it all began.
Oh, I love that.
That story is just so inspiring and just can show that like anybody can do anything, and like you might not know that you're going to start a business with some random stranger on the internet that you met 24 hours ago.
Mhm. Yeah.
No.
Anything is
And
possible.
we were so scrappy. Like, we didn't know anything, and I know a lot of people think like, oh, Tonic, we have this giant team. No, like, it was 7 years before we hired anyone, and we hired one person, so for many, many years, for most of our business, it was just like Jeff and I trying to figure things out, going like, okay, like, you know what we should do? We should add a quiz to our website before our launch tomorrow. I guess I'll like write that and figure that out and add it to our site, before tomorrow at 6 a.m. It was just so much of that, like the indomitability of the entrepreneur that says like, I don't know, but I think I can figure it out. And so I think for anyone that's just getting started, that's the biggest thing that I've learned. All of the like top tier, incredible creatives that we've worked with share one trait in common, and it's scrappiness. They go like, I will figure this out. Yeah, there's no one coming. Like, there's no one else that's going to figure this out. I can get in there. I'll figure it out. There's a problem. We'll figure it out. And I think that's the thing that has like carried Tonic through all of these years, is just that spirit of being like, yeah, we can figure this out. We'll figure out how to pivot. We'll figure out what the market needs. We'll figure out how to add this platform. We'll figure out how to like learn this new skill. We'll figure out what the heck to do with AI. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I love that. So I'm curious, what do you think drove, because if someone did what you did back then today, it likely wouldn't see the same like results, right?
Right.
What do you think was the magical, like, everyone wants to know what's the secret? What's the secret of like what it happened? But I'm also just curious, like, what do you feel like drove that success in the early days of like, wow, we like busted our butt, created 12, like, what do you think that thing was that got them off the shelf?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of things. The number one, I think, is that we saw a very specific need, right? It's not like there wasn't templates, right? There were templates on the market, just like there are now, right? However, there was still a specific need that wasn't being met and an audience who really wanted that thing. And that's still the case now. If you're looking at the market going like, well, this exists, chances are there's still a specific subset of people that is not being served or not being served well. There is something that you're equipped to do that other people are not. And the market is saying like, it needs this. And so I think that's where really we came in, is like I was doing like expensive, like high-end custom sites, and I knew nothing about website design. When I got started, I'm not a trained designer. I'm actually a journalist. And so that's really where I came from, was more from like the world of writing. And what I knew is that great brands told beautiful stories. And if they told them well, they got remembered. And so that's what I knew about website design, is like, if people don't pay attention, it doesn't matter how beautiful it is. It has to tell a story. It has to say something from the very point that people click into it. There has to be an impact or something that people go like, wow, I want to explore this. I want to be part of this world for a little while. And so most websites were super boring, and I didn't know enough to know the rules to know like, oh, it's kind of supposed to be boring. So I was like, okay, like a menu could be anything, and with that, like we made a lot of bad choices, right? Like there were a lot of things that didn't work. However, I think people landed on each one of our templates and they had a story to tell. We had a specific person in mind. There was an entire mood. There was a brand. They felt like they were made for someone. And we had specific people in mind. We're going like, this would be perfect for this person that we know. What would they want? And how could we make it feel like, man, someone lands on this and they go like, wow, this is exactly for me. And so I think we built that into that original collection. And I think that's continued to be the case of like, we're putting so much time and effort into the creation of each one of these products to ensure that when you see it, you go like, wow, this is perfect for me. It's not just like a generic thing that could be for anyone. This feels like for me. So I think that that's one of the things that originally stood out to people, was that a sense of personalization, because people don't want something that was made for everyone. They want something that's going to specifically meet their needs, their wants, their desires, their personality. They want it to reflect them. They don't want it to reflect Tonic. And I think there are a lot of other design companies and things like that where they have a style, and that's awesome, right? They have a specific style, they have a brand, and so everything kind of reflects their brand. And my belief is that I want to be a chameleon. I want to really disappear into the work that I create so that our clients get to be the person that really shows through in the design. So it doesn't look a Tonic site. It looks like, wow, that's the Duo site. Like that is so them. So I think that really propelled that early success.
Yeah, I love that. I think that it's so important too, to figure out what the problem is. And I think a lot of times we know the solution of what we want to bring out into the world, but we forget that that solution is solving a problem. And then we forget to talk about the problem because we're just like, don't you see, I fixed it for you. But we forget to remind people that this is fixing something that they're struggling with. And we don't put that, like, it might be easy for us as the creator to put the two together. But a lot of times it's like, they don't realize this is the solution they're missing because we're not talking about the problem.
Yeah. And I'm always like, I mean, I think people buy solutions, not pain points. And so I always hate it when brands just like pummel the pain points of like, you're exhausted, you're stressed, like, your life is terrible. And then finally there's this product. And I'm like, don't tell me my life is terrible. My life isn't terrible. I don't need my curling iron to be solving my problem that is straight hair. No. I just want to have great hair when I want to have great hair. And so that's why I need a curling iron. So I think it's the same thing with website templates. I'm like, hey, I'm not telling you that your website sucks. I'm not telling you that your business sucks. I'm not telling you that you have a incurable disease. I'm not doing that. I'm saying like, would you like this result? Would you like this solution? Because that's that's what we made this for. And if you want, to curl your hair and a curling iron that's going to work better than anything else to curl your hair, great. Like we have the website template equivalent of that, right? Like if you want the Dyson, we're the Dyson, like, let's go. So I think it's interesting because you have to know the problem, but I think a lot of entrepreneurs get caught up in like the sell the problem thing that I'm like, people don't want that anymore, right? That is not 2025 marketing. People know what that is. They immediately go like, that makes me feel icky and gross. And I don't need you to tell me that like my skin sucks. I just want to have glowing skin, right? That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. You need to sell that end product, the thing that they want.
It's like the fear or it is kind of fear-based. Like I think fear-based marketing is like people run away from that. They don't want it. They don't want to be like beat down any more than we already do to ourselves sometimes, So it's like, how can we uplift people by also providing the solution? I think, that you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So I love
sorry, I was just going to say, like, we believe like you need a website that moves as fast as you do. You need a website template that shows what you do at your best. Like that's the marketing. That's the idea is like, you're great. Your website doesn't measure up to what you are. Like your website is holding you back from what you can do. Your website is keeping you in the past when you need to be moving forward. So that's a different message than like your website sucks and you should feel ashamed about that.
Right. Well, and I think just the story of like, you should feel excited about your website too, because, we run into a lot of people who are like, I'm embarrassed to send people to my website, or like, I don't know, I don't really like my website. I don't feel confident about it. And I think it's being excited and feeling confident about your website. Like you want to show it off. Like I want to go out there and be like, go to duocollective.com. Oh my gosh, don't you love it? Like that excitement, because that is that feeling, right? Like we're selling feelings too. And we want our clients to feel so confident and so excited about their website, about their brand, that they literally want to show it off. And that right there is what you're selling, is that actual feeling of excitement.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are some other signs? We've talked about, like, I feel people know in their gut, like, oh, it's time. Like it is, I know I'm embarrassed, or I know I'm proud, like I'm not proud of my website, or I don't want to share it. Is there anything else that you'd say is like a sign that you might need to make some changes?
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, if your website reflects where you've been and not where you're going, that's a big problem. And that can look like you're not updating it with your current work because it doesn't even feel like it matches, right? Like you've shot all of this amazing content or you've put all this amazing content and it's on Instagram, but your website doesn't match. I think that's one of the biggest signs, because what's going to happen is people go to your Instagram first. Absolutely do. That's your storefront. They see that. And then where do they go after your Instagram? They go to your website to go like, is this exactly what I want? Where do I get more information? Was that too good to be true? Did they just have like a few great pieces of content that they've put out, but really the rest of their work doesn't match? They're going to your website. And that's most often where you see this brand disconnect of like, oh, the store window looked great, but inside it's just kind of like an outdated warehouse, like with, some furniture from 2007. So I think that that's where you go, wait a second, like I don't want to put my current work on my website. Big sign. Another big one is like, oh, I've raised my prices, but my website still reflects like what I was charging, 3 years ago. It hasn't lived up to the expectation that I'm creating now. So I'm like billing myself as like, a luxury marketing agency for top tier creatives, but my website doesn't reflect that. There's this gap. And I think that gap in general is almost always what I see as the biggest sign, is like, I just have this sense of everything is out of alignment. I do not have a website that reflects where I'm going and where I'm excited to send people. And I think what you just said is so true, because that's the thing that I most often hear from people, is this kind of website shame where it's like, oh, no, please don't look at that. Like, please don't go, Jen, like, don't judge me. Like, what do you think I'm going to do? Like, I see terrible websites all the time. I'm not going to like put a spell on you. Of course, like everyone goes through times where it's like a bad haircut, right? Everyone's had a bad haircut, no problem. Like, however, you don't have to live with that bad haircut forever. Like we can get you into a website that works for you. And so that website shame, I think people can let linger too long, because there's this sense of shame. And then after the shame comes overwhelm of like, I know this is a problem, but I don't have time to fix it, or it's not really a priority. And then after the overwhelm, it just becomes like obliviousness of like, if I pretend my website doesn't exist, maybe it doesn't. And it's kind of like a toddler playing hide and seek where it's like, okay, like no one else can see my website, right? Like I'm not looking at it. So if I'm not looking at it, surely it doesn't exist. And so that's one of the biggest things I suggest is like, step one, just go to your website. Like right now, just go to your website, scroll it like you were a person who just came here from Instagram, who saw a little bit about you or who met you in person and was like, wow, this person is awesome. I'm going to find a little bit more about them. What would they think and feel as they're browsing your website right now? Does it feel like it's reflective of the experience that you want them to have? In most cases, you're going to be like, oh no, like this is kind of outdated. This is not what I'm selling now. I don't even actually have that service, or that testimonial was from my aunt when I first launched my website. Because I didn't have any other reviews, like this needs to go. So there is this sense, I think, of like, man, am I giving the experience that I want someone to have that's really created on their website? Does that feel like it's in alignment with what I want to portray?
Well, absolutely. I think one of the things for us too, so we kept paper plain, right?
We did.
Yes.
From old brand to new brand.
Yes, absolutely.
Which
And I
you
love it.
wouldn't even know
No.
that it was the same template. And I think that is the part too where we had people coming to us in the middle of our rebrand and they'd be like, your website is so beautiful. And we're like, we know it's beautiful. And we were
That's
like,
great.
maybe we shouldn't rebrand. Like, oh my goodness. But the thing is that our website was very muted. It was like, it wasn't our bold personalities.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't
Right.
reflective of like
Yeah.
who we are as humans. And we loved
Right.
our brand. It was a beautiful brand for those years that we had it. But then we just realized that like it wasn't us and reflective of who we were as
Voice.
individuals. Yeah. And our
Yes.
voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when we were in the process of rebranding, we had, oh my gosh, Jen, we had so many people. They were like, your website and your branding is so gorgeous. And then we'd get off the inquiry call and I'd look at Abby and I would be like, are we making a mistake? I'm like, we should probably stop rebranding.
So that is one of the things that I feel like we have loved about the templates. And I think that's something that holds people back, is that they think, oh, everyone's going to have the same thing as me. Like, I don't want the same website as everyone else. And we will put the before and after in the show notes, but you would never know. And that's the power of like your brand and how you can bring that to life in a website that allows you to tell your story, like you were talking about, because that story is what's so important in getting people to actually convert at the end of it, which is the whole point of a website.
Exactly. And I love that you said that, because that's such a big part of my job, as the template designer. And I think that's where kind of my background in journalism comes from, is as I'm designing, I'm also writing like, hey, this is what you should put here. And I love that you guys actually like use so many of the prompts that were on the website of like, okay, like we're for this and not that. Like you did such a great job of incorporating that content. But that's my job, is like, I'm here to help you tell your story, both visually and then like in the content. And that's really what's going to draw people in. And with that, yeah, your style is going to change. Absolutely. But I love what you guys did, is like, you didn't just like burn it down, and most people feel like they have to. They're like, okay, I need a new website. I'm just going to set fire to it, throw a little gas and then like pray that something new emerges from the ashes. Like that's what we're going with. And I love that you guys just evolved your website template. You just saved $50,000, that you would have had to do of like, okay, we're going to an agency. We're going to like go ahead and like hand over the keys, give us something that matches this new era. Instead, you added like rounded corners to things. You incorporated new brand photos. You added cool elements. You added some more interactivity and some color. And we have people all the time that say, hey, I've had your website for the last 10 years, and then it's grown through so many different stages of my business. And that's the best thing for me to hear, because we're not like trying in the business of trying to make you buy a new website every 6 months. I think some people do that because they're like, well, I want the new one. I'm like, well, I'm not going to stop you. But in general, we want this to like be able to grow with you. And I think that's the power of having a website that you can control. And we get people all the time. I had a client, Emily, come to us, and she had literally just invested $75,000 on a custom website. And she was like, Jen, I need to make some changes, and the developer is gone. They're telling me it's going to be $300 to make like the tiniest change to my about page. Like, can you redesign me something, because I just can't do this. And I was like, I can't, I'm so sorry. but the website templates we have, they're awesome. She had designed a new website herself the next morning. And she was like, I'm so excited. Since then, she's like modified that. She's changed it. It's changed through several businesses that she's created. And that's when I'm like, that's powerful to be able to say, okay, I can evolve. I can change. My style can change. I can edit things. I can change some colors, and I am allowed to like grow within a website that I own.
Well, for real, that is one of my biggest pet peeves from an SEO perspective. And one of the very first things I normally ask people is, do you own your domain and do you own your website? Because I can't tell you how many times I work with people who aren't even allowed to make a headline change or swap out like back end details of their website. Like just not having the clarity and the ownership is holding you back as a business owner, because you're waiting on someone else to make a move and they're not usually as invested as you are, or they don't understand the impact that time like delay can take. And it is, needing to own your website and be able to leverage it and build it. Like, yes, you can absolutely still get help and outsource things and delegate, but that ability to be able to update your website is so important. Like, you have to have that ownership.
Yeah, I think one of our biggest assets as entrepreneurs is speed, because gigantic companies, they can't move quickly. They can't pivot quickly. If they want to make a change, it has to go through 3 different committees and different sectors and approvals and all those things. Whereas I can have an idea tonight, launch it in the morning, and promote it at lunchtime. And that's our goal, is like, if you have great templates, you can do that, because a lot of the heavy lifting has been done for you. So we're like, hey, you have an idea? We've got a sales page. We've got social media templates. We've got the lead magnet. We've got the lead magnet pages. We have every single piece of the puzzle so that you're not ever limited to pursue your great idea by your own abilities, right? That if we can handle the design and the marketing aspect, like you can run with that idea. So I think that speed is so important. And when you don't have the tools to be able to do it, the tools become the problem, right? They become the limitation of like, well, I wish I could do this. It would be so awesome, but I've got to wait until I figure this out. And so I think that's the thing that I'm so excited about, is I love to hear like, my friend Ty the other day was like, by the way, Jen, I was like headed to a conference and I was like feeling like my website wasn't quite right. And so I bought a template before the plane took off. I redesigned it on the plane. I hit publish before I landed. And then I went to the networking conference with my new website on my business cards and handed them out. And I was like, that's it. That's the dream right there. And he was like, and I was so excited. Like everyone went to my website, they couldn't believe it. And that was the cool thing of like, the speed wasn't a problem. That speed was an asset. So I love to hear that.
Oh, I love that. I believe, and you probably know this more than we do, but I believe that would be like one of the biggest barriers to someone actually just getting started, is that they think it is going to take them forever and they don't have the time. But when the hard work's already been done for you and you already have a brand that exists, like you can do it on a plane ride.
You really can. And I think people go in and they start to do too much. And I think you guys are a great example of this, because
of doing too much, yes.
Of not doing too much. I realized it when I said it, that
I am very guilty of like, we can do that. Like when you were like, oh, let's just launch this before 6 a.m. And I'm like, yeah, let's do that. Like I can do it. I don't need sleep. Who needs sleep?
Yeah, we are those classic people.
I am like a time delusional person, where I'm like, no, like not only am I capable of this, like I will get it done in the next hour, total delusion. It's actually served me very well in business in many ways, because I'm like, of course I can do that. No problem. Then I have deep regrets later, but in this case, no, I think you guys are a great example, because when you first launch your website template, the first iteration of Paper Plane, you didn't change every single thing, right? Like you left a lot of the template as it was. You left it beautiful. It was already well designed. You put your content in it. You added your images. You put your own spin. But it's not like you took the template and totally redesigned every single part of it. Mm-hmm. And then you let it sit for a little while. You enjoyed it. You inhabited your brand. You decided like who we are, what do we want to be in the market? And that's when you begin to tweak it more and more. And so that's always my advice if you're getting started with a Tonic template, is just like get in and start putting in your content, right? Don't feel like you have to change everything, redesign it. Morgan, who used to work with us, called it, you don't have to paint over the Mona Lisa, right? Like it's already well designed. There's a reason why you bought it. So just change out your images, put in some copy, like don't overthink it. Because the great thing about a website that can grow with you is that you're allowed to tweak it over time. You could go in next week and make some more changes, but have a website up, have something that's working for you so that you can then be able to say like, okay, my website's up, great. Now I'm going to set a timer until next month. I'm going to have like a website update day. And I'm just going to go in, I'm going to update some of my images. I'm going to put some of my best work on it. So I think that like that's one of the things that I always suggest is like approach your website as this continual work in progress, not a checklist item that you check off for the next 5 years, right? Treat it like a work in progress. Set like a quarterly or like biannual reminder to just make some quick updates. Put your favorite project that you've done this year on your website. If you want to go in and change things, have a brand shoot or take some photos with your iPhone and like add some new images to your website. There are just a few things that you could do to freshen it up so you don't have to have that full like light gasoline into a trash can experience, every 3 years.
And I think back when we purchased paper planes, it goes back to when you were saying like you want people to come to Tonic and be like, that's what we need. Like this feels like us. This is what we need. This is what's going to take our brand and our website to that next level. And we knew that the template paper planes was what was for us. It like felt like our brand. It was so put together. It was so beautiful. It had so many pages that we knew we needed. And so when we purchased that, again, it wasn't overwhelm. Like we knew it was going to be easy to update. We knew it was going to be reflective of what we needed. It had all of this stuff laid out there for us. So we could use the template as it was, change a few things here or there, but we also knew we could grow with it. And like, it's so crazy to look at our site when we first launched it with paper planes versus now, but we're still using that same template. We've built our new brand and website off of that template. So it's so crazy to see like what these templates can do for you.
And that's the other thing of like, if you never get started, I mean, it's the same thing with anything in your business, like growing your email list, starting with SEO, like building your Instagram. You don't go to 0 to 5,000 overnight, but for some reason we have that expectation when it comes to our website. So it's like, start with something, start with a page, then add another, like
Totally.
slowly grow, because you can't make progress unless you just start moving.
Yeah, and that's one thing I wish more people knew. I'm like, you don't have to launch every single page of your template even. You can have a home page, a services page, and a contact page and not publish every single thing off. It's really easy to just toggle those other pages. So don't wait until you have a 15-page website. You just started. You don't need a 15-page website, right? Just put something up, because the most important page really is just your homepage. People want to go to your homepage and see that you're a legit business. We expect like the bagel shop down the street to have a legit website. It's 2025. There are so many ways to have a legit website that it's kind of a red flag if you don't at this point. So make it easy on yourself. Like have like one page up, have a homepage and a contact page. Go back and add the services page. The page that people are going to visit the most after your homepage is your about page. And so my kind of holy grail for website, I'm like homepage, about page, services, contact. Like if you had those pages, that's great. And then you can go back in and you can add more work samples, a portfolio page, and more information. You can have individual sales pages about your services, but those are bonuses. So don't let the overwhelm of I have to have all of this keep you from having anything.
Absolutely. Okay, so other than not having a website, are there any other like icks that you have when it comes to people, whether it's like DIYing or just like the pages, or is there anything that you're like, please don't do this?
Ever.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have a lot. I have a lot of designer pet peeves.
It's another pod episode.
Yeah, full pod. Let's go. Yeah, hope you have an hour. No, a couple. My least favorite thing, and I think it's because I'm a writer, is a headline that tells me nothing about what you actually do, and it's like, "Let's bring joy back," and you're just like, and it's like, oh, but this is like actually like a constipation, website, like anti-constipation, like, oh, okay, that's what you're offering. Or like, it'll be like, because, your wedding day perfected. And I'm like, but how? And, oh, you're a florist, so there's just nothing that gives me an idea of like what I've actually landed on. That's one of my biggest pet peeves. So I'm like, somewhere, this is my like designer secret to this is like, you want to have a super creative, fun headline. Absolutely. Okay. You have that headline. It says, design your modern life, whatever it is. Okay. That could be anything. You could be like a floral designer. You could be a template designer. You could be a house designer. Above that, we call it an eyebrow piece of copy. And above that, it's great for SEO. It could say something like St. Petersburg Flora interior designer, something like that, where people go like, this is an interior design company, and now everything else makes sense. So give me an eyebrow. We love like a well-tweezed eyebrow. Like put that above your headline. Tell people what you're actually going to offer them. Do not make them scroll and be like, what is this? What is this? What is this? That is like,
you're speaking Abby's language right now for sure.
Like beautiful. I love to hear that from a design perspective too, just because that is, I work with a lot of copywriters, and a lot of times like just having, it's finding the happy medium of keywords and something beautiful. And I think there are so many copywriters that are so good at that, like incorporating that portion of it. And you can do both, and you should do both. And it's okay if you still want something pretty, but complement it with something real, so that people, because it might seem obvious to you what you do, but it is not obvious to someone who doesn't know you. And that's what your website is for people who don't know you. So you are meeting them for the first time. And what would you say when you went up to shake someone's hand? Like, you probably wouldn't start with that like really fluffy piece of content, because people might think you're living in La La Land, right?
yeah, it just feels so off-putting to me, where I'm like, okay, but that's great. Like, that's so great. But can you just tell me, like, can you just speak like English to me, please? Like, please do that. But I mean, we've been guilty of this as well. And you'll be horrified, Abby, to hear that like I think I alluded to it already, but we didn't say the word template on our website for so many years. And it wasn't until Ryan, who's like an SEO amazing guru, that joined our team. He was like, hey, why don't you say template anywhere on your website, anywhere? And I'm like, well, because there's so much more than templates, Ryan. It's a completely customizable website. And he's like, yeah, but Jen, no one is Googling customizable website. That's not what they're looking for. And so people who are out there looking for what you have to offer cannot find you, because you are not calling it what it is. Like, you are not thinking, what would someone else call this? And I'm just going to be like straight up and say like, these are show up website templates. So it was just this game-changing moment for me of like, it doesn't really matter what I say it is. It matters like what other people are looking for. And I want them to instantly realize, oh, I'm looking for a show up website template. These are show up website templates. I don't want to make them scroll and be like, is this show up website templates? Is it, what is it? I have no idea. So that's just like design and copy are a service. Good design and good copy serves your customers. It gives them clarity. It gives them the ability to choose. It narrows their decision making, because they're able to say like, this is the one for me, not these. This is what I'm looking for, not that. So I think that is just such a shift when it comes to design and copy. It's not just about like what looks pretty or sounds good. It's how does it serve your customer?
Yeah. So I feel we talked about this a little bit before we hit record, and I'm curious to hear what you have to say. So one of the things I love is in your footer, you say we don't do everything, but we do what we do pretty damn well. And as you're like a consumer of yours, I feel like that is spot on. Like, you do have a very specific niche, and you have really built yourself up in that space. So I do feel like you are very niched in, but I'm curious too. So like, Show It is where you live, right? But then there's also like other iterations with Canva and like growing outside of just Show It, and evolving your brand. Do you feel like you're like in this niche? Do you feel like you want to expand or niche down more? Like, how do you feel about this, and how did you kind of like get into this moment where like, oh, this is like Show It templates, it's like where I'm living?
Yeah. I mean, Abby, I'm like a chronic overcommitter. And so our team will frequently like send me this screenshot of our footer as a reminder, because they're like, hey, somehow you're doing less, but you're doing the most, right? Like, I want to do less while doing the absolute most to make the less. And so that's the problem, is that like, it is true that like we have a narrow focus in terms of like our project scope of like, okay, we have Canva products and we have show website templates. Within that, I want to do everything. I want to do every single idea. I have like 1,000 ideas before breakfast, and I'm like, we're doing them all. Like, guys, like all of this we can do this week, right? And people are like, do less but better, Jen. Like, here, you said it yourself. You wrote this, remember? So I've learned that like I can't pursue everything. But I have found that like it, again, like it's really about serving our customers. We get asked all the time, Could you create WordPress templates? Could you create Kajabi templates? Could you create Squarespace templates? And we've decided really with our team size, we couldn't really adequately support all those other customers on those platforms. And so yes, I'm sure it would make us a ton of money. Yes, it would not be hard for me to like design a bunch of Squarespace templates. That would be easy. However, what comes after that? It's like, oh, all the tutorials, all the customers who need specific things, all the marketing. And so that really forces my hand to say like, no, we're going to choose to serve this specific niche of customers extremely well. Currently, we can do that with Canva. We can do that with Showit. And so that's what gives me the freedom to say like, here's what we can comfortably handle the afterward for, are these specific customers. We don't want to bite off more than we can chew to make money, because really the customers are who are going to pay for that decision. So that's really led to that focus. But will I still try to do every single possible thing to serve that specific niche of customers? Yes, I will.
Absolutely.
Right. And I think that's important too, like going deep rather than going wide, because the wider you go, the less deep you can go. And I also think it's also not pigeonholing you in a space where you don't have creative liberties, because even though you are niched, you can still go so wide. Like there's so many industries and there's so many people and there's so many types of sales templates or types of shops or types of like different things you can build within the Showit template space, that you still have that creative freedom, that you're never going to get bored. And I think that's sometimes what people get concerned about when they niche is, I'll be bored. Like, I don't just want to work on that. And it's about finding that niche where you can then still have that creative freedom. And I think you guys you live in that space very well.
Yeah, well, I think freedom exists the best within limitations. And so if I could do everything, then I'm overwhelmed, right? Like I could do everything, that's extremely limiting, because I have to figure out, well, then what am I going to do? But if I have to say like, oh, I'm going to make a Showit website template with these parameters for someone who wants these things, all of a sudden the options are endless. And that's where I get to be really creative, is like, how am I going to do this this thing very, very well? And so I think like, when you have a blank canvas and the world is your oyster, you're never going to do anything. But if I can say like, okay, I'm starting here, these are the limitations bring freedom. And so that's something that I found is like, the more I can limit myself, I was like, okay, I have to write my newsletter on Friday between 4 and 6 a.m. That's my option. I am extremely creative within that limit, versus like I have all week to write my newsletter. It's never going to happen. Never going to happen. So in every aspect of my creative life, I've definitely found like the more limitations I can put on myself, it's counterintuitive, but the more productive and the more creative I am.
Oh, 1,000%.
That's so powerful and so true.
This is the first year that my kids are full-time at school. So they go to school 8 to 3. Before that, I had 3-hour windows of work. And I swear to you, I was more productive some days during those 3 hours than I am between 8 and 3. Like, it's wild.
No, I mean, I have never known entrepreneurship without being a mom. Really, it coincided. I'm now a homeschooling mom of 3. So
Wow.
What I do not have is time. I do not have a lot of time. And so I have to be pretty specific with how I spend my time, because simply there is not enough. And I am too tired and too old to do what I used to do, which is stay up all night, every night, to like figure out how I was going to do my thing. I no longer have that time. So it has to be like, okay, I'm going to be really laser focused and ruthless about the things that I choose to pursue. I'm going to go deep, not wide, in that specific idea. And then I have to accomplish it in a pretty limited amount of time. And I credit having kids with the vast amount of our success, because that is what gave me the ability to be like, this has to be good. I have to pursue it. I only have this time. Like, let's go. Otherwise, I think if there would have been all the time in the world, it would never have happened.
Oh, 1,000%. I agree with that. So on that note, what's next for Tonic? What are you guys working on next? Are you just is there any I know obviously Black Friday is like a really big launch for you. We're far out from that right now, but is it like now's already time that you're prepping for that? Like what kind of happens in Tonic's world over the summer?
Yeah, so we're prepping right now for our spring launch. So our spring launch is going to be in June, at the beginning of June. I think it's June 3rd. I should know that probably. But it's June 3rd.
We'll put it in the notes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's in there. Yeah, my team was like, Jen, you had one job. And so with that, like we do 2 big website launches a year. We do a spring website template launch and a fall website template launch. And now we approach it as this whole collection. So it's like, hey, this is the template, but then here's everything else you need to build out this whole suite in your marketing arsenal. So everything matches, everything feels on brand. And so prior to that, like the 6 months prior to each release, we're doing a ton of brand research to make sure that whatever the template that we're releasing feels innovative, feels specific, feels like of the time, doesn't feel like it's like, last year and already dated. So we always want to be like the front runner of like Tonic is predicting like what's coming next to design, not echoing what's already been done. And so that's like kind of a big challenge that we put on ourselves, but I want us to continue to innovate and be where you go, like what is the future of design? Like Tonic is there. So I want us to lead the way. That takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of research. It takes a lot of like trend forecasting, but that's our job. It's like, if we can think about that, then you don't have to think about that. So that's the big thing I'm working on right now. I'm like tricking this website template out with like everything that I possibly can, just to make sure that it feels like super standout. We're building a lot of things into it that we've never added before. A bunch of like really cool kind of premium things that you couldn't find anywhere else. So I'm super excited about that. And then, yeah, the next thing that will happen is like immediately working towards the fall template release, Black Friday, and then we have a bunch of other like fun campaigns. I think the market's really shifting where people want like smaller, fun, interactive campaigns instead of just these like giant launches that take a month. They want like a cool week of something, like a challenge or like a fun campaign. So we did like a Valentine's Day campaign this year that was like really fun and made a bunch of fun ads and fun Instagram content. And that was like a great thing. It allowed me to be creative again in this like limited, okay, like how does a website template company do a Valentine's Day sale? Like what could we do? So that's a creative exercise, but really it's about that, is like, how can we stay ahead of what you guys need in your business to do marketing, social media, and your website super well? What tools can we provide you? And a lot of that is just seeing like what tools are accessible in the market right now and how can we make them better, stronger, faster, and more attuned to your business.
And that's,
so it's an exciting time.
Yeah, that's like one of the reasons why I think you get so much more than just a template. Like it's not just a template that you're getting like research and the, like you said, the design trends and like just even the ability of like all the like fun custom coding you can do within Show It and like all of this fun stuff that you can do. You don't have to learn it because you're getting a template that people already knew what to do, and it's easy for you to just jump in and update it in your own way. Not only having, like, I can tell you as an SEO person, I hate when templates have no words. I'm like, can we just leave space for words?
Yes.
Because that is so important too. And I think just the way things are designed, and that promotes word count and promotes you to use keywords and promotes you to actually tell your story, because that is the problem. Like you said, like a lot of times we don't even include the word of what it is that we do on our website. So,
and it's because like that template looked really great with 7 words, like super artful and like very minimal. And I'm like, yeah. But someone's going to put their content into that and be like, well, this looks terrible. So, that's something that part of my creative process is I'm like putting real content into the templates to make sure like, will this work for an actual person? Because if it doesn't, that was my whole job, right? Like it can't just look pretty as a template and then like not look great as soon as anyone does anything with it. The first experience with your website shouldn't be disappointment, So that's a big thing, is like, it can't just be pretty. It has to function well. So I always go like, our templates are like Vogue with an MBA is kind of like the goal that I'm looking for, is like, they need to like make sense. They're going to be beautiful. Yeah, of course they should be beautiful, but they need to be backed with conversion, with SEO. Like I know how many words are supposed to go on a page that Google wants on a page, so I'm putting that in the website because that's my job, is to give you that tool to work well for your business.
a lot of pressure for you, Jen.
That is a lot of
I
pressure.
know. As I'm saying it, I'm crushed by the weight of my own expectations. Like, wow, like this is a lot.
But we all benefit from it. That's for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. No pressure. It's fine. I sleep at night. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm so excited. We will absolutely be sharing your launch in the spring and what else we need to stock up on. And we're going to include everything in the show notes so people can go check it out. We'll show some before and afters. But I guess, is there anything you want to leave people with on what to know other than just check out all of the shop templates and all the things?
No, I would just say, like, even if you never buy a website template from us, one of my biggest suggestions is like, go look at your current website. Feel free. We have 20 websites on our website right now that you can go look at for inspiration. And so if you're like, hey, Jen, I don't have the budget for this right now, like this isn't within my budget, no problem. Just go update a few things on your current website. You can look at our templates and see like what kind of sections are there, what kind of content is there. Use them as inspiration. Get excited about treating your website as a tool for your business. Because I think that that's one of the biggest things that a great Tonic site can do is it gives you this tool in your arsenal that tells people what you're about in words that they can repeat. It gives them experience that you want to provide. And so you don't have to have all or nothing, like you have a Tonic site or you don't. You can just go and make your website 1% better today. So if you do that, that's already a win. And then when you're ready, we'll be here. So yeah, no pressure.
I love that.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We are beyond excited to continue to grow with this template. And who knows, maybe we'll be stacking up on more in the future. We'll be those people who are like, okay, the next one.
We need another template.
Well, I love the site. You guys did such a fantastic job on it. It just like has personality around every corner. It's experiential to browse. I just feel like you totally nailed it. So A+, star student template customization. I am so proud.
Putting that on our wall.
Celine Dion
just
gave us
our website.
Yeah. I'll sign that template. I'll sign that award, Celine. And you'll know.
I love it. Oh, I love it. Oh, well, thank you, Jen.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was so fun. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. And yeah, you can just bask in the glow of your beautiful website.
Thank you.
If you like this episode, please be sure to share it with a friend and subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes dropping every Monday. Plus, if you haven't already, please go ahead and leave us a review and don't hesitate to share any new episode ideas. We absolutely love hearing from you and creating this content for you. See you next week.